tab. We are live on the Greatest Salesman page. My name is Dan McCormick. I am so thrilled to bring you my guest today. It is going to be a riveting experience. I hope wherever you may be joining us from today, around the globe, you'll know that the Greatest Salesman podcast every Wednesday at 2 o'clock, Wisdom Wednesday, I like to call it. We love your comments. Give us your comments. Tell us who you are and where you're from. If you're live on Facebook, certainly you're following us. You can also pick it up on YouTube Live. And of course, later on some of the other podcast sites on the website, thegreatestsalesman.com. If we haven't met before, my name is Dan McCormick, and it was just an unbelievable occurrence as a 19-year-old young man. No self-esteem, no self-worth, no net worth. Somebody put that in my hand, and it was the game changer for me. And I was very, very blessed to marry up a wife that her and her dad had read all of the Og Mandino books. And then great fortune, 7 years later, my wife and I experienced marvelous things. And 18 years ago, the man on the screen today and I met. I am so thrilled that he allowed me to be the ambassador to the Og Mandino Company and host this podcast and bring you the greatest salespeople in the world each and every week. We know him by the name of Dave Blanchard. He not only, I love in your bio, Dave, that you talk about all the things you did, but I like that fact that you played football at such a high level in high school and Rick's College, and you like to hit, and it says in your bio that you like to hit the real issues head on. Not only are you a successful author, you're a great friend, public speaker, executive coach, and you sit in that chair hours and hours and hours every day, helping entrepreneurs, homemakers, people from every walk of life, every business kind of success we can imagine. And it is just an honor to welcome you into the podcast today. Dave, how are you?
I'm doing great, Dan. It's great to be with you. And I have to say that my experience, I call you Dan the Sunshine Man, right?
I knew it was coming.
Because no matter what's going on in Dan's life, he's always going to smile. And I've shared this before when you and I have had opportunities to do interviews, that I ask you, how do you do that, Dan? He said, well, people's lives are tough enough without me burdening them with my challenges. So you want to be a ray of hope. That's just awesome.
Well, Dave, today I get to interview you. So we're not going to be talking about me a whole lot. I get to interview you before you turn the tables on me there. But listen, we want to welcome our friends from Austria. We've got people from Scotland here. We've got Chicago and California, Toronto. We're grateful for your comments. And Dave, as the theme of the show, as you gave me the opportunity to kind of craft the podcast the way I see fit. Obviously, I love it when people reread the book before they come on. We've had 40 episodes. You're now episode number 41. And 40 previous times I've started off the podcast before we saying anything about how we know each other and our working relationship. I get to simply say, for the benefit of people that are in that hurry phase of their life and they want to know, what are you going to talk about today? I like to say, can you just share 3 things that have really shaped your life, if you will, to kind of kick off the hour?
And thank you for the question. It's been delightful reflecting on them. The first one was my father. My father was a computer scientist, and his job was to fix computers that nobody else could fix. He was the last line of defense. And he would get on a boat, then a plane, then a boat, then a plane to some obscure island somewhere for a CIA computer that needed to be fixed. And for 35 years, he never failed to fix it.
Wow.
Now, he worked hard and he worked long and he was really busy. But he made it very clear to me, it's not about hard, busy, or time. It's about results. I didn't go there to put in a weekend. I went there to get a computer working again, whatever that took. So I'm so grateful to my father. He taught me that lesson early on and was an example all the way through my life. I actually wrote about this in Today I Begin a New Life.
Yeah.
When I interviewed him, my goodness, he was 78 years old at the time.
Wow.
It was really a precious conversation. That's number one. Number two is my sweetheart, Ramona. And Dan, you know Ramona. She is my partner. She's my best friend. She's my sweetheart. We've been married 46 years. She's the mother of our 7 children and our 27 grandchildren. She's just an incredible human being. And whenever I get discouraged, I just look over there and go, I want to be more like that. She's just an amazing, she saved my life. She just saved my life.
Wow.
I was a mess. Third, 1989. Real estate market collapses in Southern California. I had worked tenaciously to build a multi-million-dollar estate. I had the Ferrari, I had the Mercedes, we had the housekeeper, the gardener, the ski condo, the 40-foot custom Bluebird motorhome. I had everything. Rolex watches, of course, right? And it fell apart, and it was like water going through my fingers. Couldn't stop it. I am so grateful. Don't want to ever do this again, but I'm grateful for that moment of getting to find me, because I had become my stuff. And I was the corporate guarantor of all the corporate lines of credit. So the next 10 years, we would spend paying back that debt. And the lessons that were learned, I met Og's Material, wrote the feature film script for the Christ Commission during that time. And it was at the end of that that Betty called me, January of 2000, and said, the rights to the Og Mandino book are not being renewed for the movie. And I said, can we also have the training rights to take this to the world? And she said, yes. I came home, left the film industry. I was in New York shooting commercials for CNBC. I was directing those. I came home and we set up the Og Mandino companies and brought everything that had been learned during those 10 years, plus the power of the 10 scrolls to support all of that. Because I found it in that dark hour, and it was like putting on an old shoe. It was just so comfortable and true, correct principles, and bring that to the world. And it's been a 21-year success. It's when Merrill Osmond said to me, people said, gosh, I wish I could be successful like you. And he said, yeah, you want to spend that many years in the basement rehearsing 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, you could get it too. It's been an interesting journey, but it's been a wonderful one. And you said this, Chair. Part of this Og Mandino journey, I had a mentor early on who said, Dave, you're going to be the CEO, but always keep your finger on the pulse by coaching the people. And what's exciting about that is every time we update what we're doing, we come up with a new way of approaching it, a better way of the assessment. It's all born out of mine and Paul. You've interviewed Paul on this podcast, who's been with me now 7 years, working side by side, is based on that experience in the trenches. We will never take the trenches out of, you say work on your business, not in your business. We're in it, working on it. Blessing lives, I do hope, but getting better and better at knowing how to bless a life by paying that price. Yeah. Those are the three things.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned those three. For those that are just joining us, I always ask every guest, what are three things that have shaped your life? A father, a wife, and I guess a dose of humble pie, 1989.
Dose of humble pie and being able to give the privilege to kind of have a do-over.
Yeah. And what's interesting to me about that, Dave, is I was rewatching your Monday morning message this week. You spoke of gratitude, and I feel nothing but gratitude from you about your father, your wife, and that experience as your three things. And I find that you took us to a level of gratitude, I thought, on Monday morning that is rare in the world. And I am just so fired up that you shared that message, because I always resonate with people that genuinely can offer that. And I felt that there was always that angle to Og. There was no sense of entitlement or arrogance. It was almost like he was humbled to be able to even write at the level he wrote. The words that came out, like when you write the preface, or excuse me, the what do we call it? The introduction to that book that you penned, Today I Begin a New Life. But that's a fascinating thing. Maybe touch on that word for a minute. Maybe recap for us what you said on Monday morning, because I think it's always worth a revisiting of how we express gratitude, because it takes us further in life.
I didn't mention this on Monday, but you brought up Og. And here's Og, who's trying to write this story about Hafid, right? And he spends months, and he's coming up on a book deadline. He's written the beginning, the end, but he hasn't written the 10 scrolls. the time-tested wisdom of the ages. And he's left himself with the responsibility of delivering something so powerful, it would change the world for decades. No pressure, right? And that one night when he's lying on his bed after putting the two boys to sleep, and he gets those words, "Today I begin a new life. Today I shed my old skin, which had too long suffered the bruises of failure and the wounds of mediocrity. Today I am born anew, and my birthplace is a vineyard where there's fruit for all." Og struggled with alcoholism for so much of his life. He almost took his own life. He lost his first wife and his first daughter to his alcoholism and was estranged from both of them for a lifetime. That night when he's writing that, one night, all 10 scrolls, they just start pouring into him, and he got to take dictation for what was about 12 hours. He wrote it on an IBM Selectric typewriter, which doesn't give you cut and paste capacity, right?
That's right.
And I've seen one of those original documents. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
I mean, there's the scroll on first take. The only one that Betty made him change a little bit was scroll 2. And because of the way it came, he could never prop himself up as a guru. And because he didn't, he became one, which was really interesting.
Yes.
He wasn't a self-promoter. He had a hard time promoting himself and selling from the stage, because it's like he would say, "I was there." And Dan, I've had the gift of being there. I still remember one morning at 4:30 after getting this incredible download when I was writing Equanimity, Conquering Mountain Entrepreneur. And I just, wow, why me? And I wanted God to say to me, "Dan, because you're brilliant." And all he said was, "Because you listen and courageously speak what I say." That's what Og did. He listened, he heard, and he courageously spoke correct principles. And that's why that book is still what it is today, why it's still changing lives today. Oh, could we all be in a place to deliver something that's still changing lives after 50 years?
Yeah.
Incredible. That's a gratitude to be able to just participate at this level in something like this. It's just humbling to be grateful for that. Yeah.
It's awesome that our audience today is mentioning the fact that they missed the last 2 weeks because I was traveling. And I missed the last 2 weeks because I missed them. And Dave, you and I don't get to speak that much anymore. I'm so busy, you're so busy, but I think we can text and we can say, I mean, there's Ross Hobbs right there who got a do-over. I mean, I could come to tears if I think much about it, but I just think about what Freddie's saying or Dominic's saying over in Scotland or what others are commenting, and you just you feel an emotion and a gratitude. And so I'm grateful for you for bringing that up on Saturday or on Monday morning. Now, first time you ever read it, what was it like?
Wow. I had the privilege of reading the Christ Commission first.
Okay.
And just 3 months after I wrote it, a producer came to town looking for a scriptwriter, got referred to me, and I was retained to write the feature film script for the Christ Commission. Og just sat on my shoulder for about 6 months, so I had a pretty good feel for Og. And then the next book right after that was The Greatest Salesman in the World. I described this once as just putting on an old shoe. I shared that a moment ago. It's like every time I pick up a book, Dan, the first question I ask, does this author have the same teacher? That's all I want to know. Is this a correct principle? Yeah. And there are some great books out there full of all kinds of aphorisms that do not teach correct principles. And I can tell you that when I read Og, I knew he had the same teacher. This is inspired work. This is correct foundational principles for living. That was my experience. And then it was probably 3 years later when Betty called me and said, "Would you like to take over the responsibility for the family jewel, Greatest Salesman?" I'm going, This has to be a rhetorical question. Do you have any idea what this has done to me? And I've discovered since what it's done to others, because there's rarely a day or a week that goes by that I don't get a copy of a letter that Og sent back to someone, hand typed on his typewriter, in response to a letter they sent to him.
Wow.
It's just amazing. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people that he responded to, who just fall in love with or fell in love with these principles found in the Greatest Salesman, the 10 scrolls, the 10 time-tested principles of success. Life-changing.
Life-changing for so many.
And I still get insights.
Yes.
I've been reading these for over 20 years, 24 years now, on a daily basis, and there is never a time that I don't go and see it just a little differently this time. And that is just a gift. It always meets you where you are. It's like, where did that come from?
Yes.
Wow. That's the magic. They're written in what's called the language of the intrinsic.
Oh, tell us about that, please.
It's a really unique language. Scripture is written in that language.
Yes.
Unlimited application, unlimited interpretation. You don't have to go to it and learn a new nomenclature. It comes to you when you're ready. So I can read a scroll 3 times a day for a month, 30 days, and come back to it a year later and go, where did that sentence come from? Oh my goodness. And just a new insight. It's got such richness. And you take scroll 2 for an example. Betty said it was too complex for 1967. We know that Og was talking about and understood. The Greek said the words eros, pia, philo, agape for love, different kinds of love, and several others as well. But the 4 most popular: erotic love, maternal love, brotherly love, philo, brother, Philadelphia, city of brotherly love, and agape, a heightened level of awareness. God's love, seeing someone priceless and unique. Avatar, I see you. Well, it was really complex to say it like that. Greatest secret of success in all ventures is agape love, a heightened level of awareness, the highest level of grace. That all got taken out.
Yeah.
And I got down to a really simple process. It's the one scroll you actually have to live to understand. And how will I do all of this? How will I use this as my greatest weapon? I'll look at all things with agape, the heightened level of awareness, and I'll be born anew. Just a couple of lines. I'll love the sun, for it warms my bones. That I'll love the rain, for it cleanses my spirit. What a beautiful metaphor. What are the rains in our life, and what did they teach us? I love the light, for it shows me the way. But I love the darkness, for it shows me the stars. That sent, it's got emotional. When we left our dream home in California, and I'm in a moving van and my dad's driving one, he's just always in our life, right? And here's my wife in our 12-passenger Ford van with 7 children, and they're bouncing in the seats singing camp songs. And I'm bawling. We're leaving our dream house. 10 years prior, I drove Ramon up there and said, we're going to own that house. 5 years later, we bought it and moved into it. And 5 years later, we're moving out, barely selling it before we lose it. Crazy. I've reflected on that moment. I am grateful for the darkness, for it showed me the stars. I would tell you the stars are representation of diamonds. Mythologically, the diamonds, that's what the stars represented, diamonds, the diamonds in our lives. I got to see my wife and my children differently than I ever had before, because the sunlight of success had been so dimmed. I could finally see them, because sometimes we just get so caught up in the world and creating success, we miss the diamonds. That's why this 1989 is so important. It just really solidified the diamonds. But that scrolls just come alive if you are ready to let them inside your soul.
Wonderful. My goodness. I'm looking at these comments and my, oh my, I just hope everybody will as well. Dave, this morning, when I get up for my 5 a.m. reading, I simply took the book and before I opened it, I said, I wonder if I could be given some inspiration to open to a page that could offer something on our podcast today. And I know everybody watching, me included, because your son called me on Monday one of the most systemic people in the world. So here we go. The antithesis, I think, of being one of the more systemic people in the world. I opened to this page 64 of my copy that simply says, and I wonder if you wouldn't comment about it, because everybody watching, these are high performance, as you know, high achievers, vivid visualization. Dave, what's the statistic? Is it 93%, 94% of the people in network marketing are high vivid visualization people?
97, high levels of vivid visualization and effortless thinking.
Woo, people, listen up now. Here we go, Dave. Here's the question.
Okay.
Comment on this if you will. The prizes of life are at the end of each journey, not near the beginning. And it is not given to me to know how many steps are necessary to reach my goal.
Oh, keep going.
I could. Failure I may still encounter at the 1,000th step, yet success hides behind the next bend in the road. Never will I know how close it lies unless I turn the corner.
Always will I take another step. If that is of no avail, I will take another and yet another. In truth, one step at a time is not too difficult. Into the next paragraph. I will build my castle one brick at a time, for I know that small attempts repeated can accomplish any task. I just want you to see my poor scrolls here. I don't want to lose this book. I need to tape it up again. So. Yeah. Could we use that today? We want immediate gratification. We want it to be easy, less painful. I could get on a soapbox on this.
I thought that's why it opened there.
And we have that gift of vivid visualization sitting on its fulcrum. And we lean toward, I just want it to be easier. I'm going to work really hard for a season so I get to a point where I don't have to work anymore. Paul said it the other day. It was hilarious. We were in a coaching group together, and he said, that's kind of like brushing your teeth so well you never have to brush your teeth again. That was the perfect example, right?
So good.
But if we're wanting ease, we drift into fantasy, where we escape and avoid, or we go into catastrophe. We have fear that it's not growing fast enough. We fear the company could go away. We fear that we could lose it. All kinds of fear that just drives challenges. And in networking, for example, there are so many moments in a day that could ignite that. But if we want to create, we want to be a creator. That's what Aug's teaching us to do. Become an intentional creator of your life. Here are the principles to guide you. What are we going to do? We're going to engage in life. The salesman's prayer. We're going to engage. We're going to embrace obstacles. Why are we going to embrace them? We get them anyway. We can resist them, resent them, or we can embrace them and learn from them and have empathetic reference points to teach. We're going to connect and serve. We're going to create value everywhere we go and with everyone we meet, and we're going to contribute to the world. Who wants to sign up for that one? Anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur and really be a creator. If someone just wants a golden ticket to ease, they're in for one heck of a ride. Yeah. We could spend time on the physiology. We won't today, but oh my goodness, what that does to your body. Yeah. It's unbelievable. It's brutal. At least people broken, and angry. Versus being a creator. Yeah. Joy in the journey. You fall in love with every step.
Well, if you're joining us late, my name is Dan McCormick. I'm the fortunate one that gets to sit in this chair and interview the greatest salespeople in the world every week. And some of them come from all kinds of different places. And you just heard the Dave Blanchard story and those three things, the father, a wife, and 1989. starting us off with gratitude. Dave, I'm looking at the books you've written today. I Begin a New Life, The Observer's Chair, Equanimity, always trying to write to clarify, write to inspire, write from a position of knowledge that you bring in by settling these assessments with people in their life. And it's not always, Dave. I think I've said this to you before, and maybe this will benefit somebody's life. I remember laying in my bed one night when you called or we were talking 10 years ago, maybe. And you said, "Can I ask you a serious question?" I said, "Well, of course." And you simply said, "Do you have faith?" And being the systemic guy that I am, highly wired for the action of the day, the week, the event, the whatever, I had to simply ponder and still say, I will never forget that question. And so as I do the brief little commercial on behalf of your company, because I want to go into the second half of what struck me this morning, I'd like to simply say what a blessing it is to say that on behalf of the Augmandino Company, it is a company that's not just nonprofit. It is a for-profit company for coaching people, the most genuine, authentic coaching angles that anybody could ever take with real life data. And we now have a companion to that, I think, at the Augmandino Company that hit us last year, the end of last year, when you came out with the online version of the social VIP, cracking the social code. And I'll get Amanda to put it up there on the screen. Not Amanda Ernest, but she's been one of our fabulous guests as well, but our producer today. She'll put cracking the social code up there for $297, habitfinder.com/social VIP. If you want to dive out of the pond that you're in and into that gigantic ocean of 2 billion plus people. And one of my distributors the other day that has hundreds of thousands of followers on her social media feed, she was with me, Dave, and she simply said, "I love cracking the social code." She said, "It is so good." And I just hope that people will take this opportunity to sign up and make you more effective in being on your journey to being the greatest salesperson in the world. And who knows, you could even be my guest in the future on the podcast right here. But I know I'm thrilled about it, Dave. And I know you were thrilled when Paul made that connection and had that client come together with the white hat hacker and being able to do things on Facebook that nobody's ever done. There's Amanda right there, cracking the social code. Totally love it. So good. It is really good for everybody. But on behalf of the Augmandino Company, and Dave, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to sit here. And what a joy, what an honor. And I think I said to Paul when he was a guest on the show a few months back that I think that was perhaps one of the most significant change events in the history of your company, to being able to take the coaching process and marry it up with really filling the funnel for the greatest salespeople in the world.
You know, a lot of people we're tempted to build products so we can sell and generate revenue, right? Mm-hmm. This was born out of a tremendous need, especially those who are in the network marketing business. The greatest challenge is trying to do too much with too few. And we often do it for way too long. We're just not talking to enough people. Yeah. And Facebook has all their artificial intelligence bots shutting down all your little commercials, your befores and afters, and your shiny teeth and your makeups and whatever it might be. They see that and it shuts it off, and you end up sending your posts out and they get delivered to the same people. An incestuous echo chamber. Cracking the social code is designed to nurture these people and to start to open up the floodgates to get you to the ocean. Because there was a day, some of you remember a day when you would put a post and people would say, "I want what you have." Yeah. And it's not happening as much anymore because it's the same people. Someone might come back and say, "I've been watching you for 6 years or something. I'd like to do what you're doing." That could happen. But let's get to the people who want what you have, who need what you have, who don't know you're there, getting you out of the ocean. That's been the fun part. to get more conversations, better conversations, more conversations with better people. It doesn't build a business. It gives you the people and the conversations with which to build a great business. And then we go from that to pro, which takes it to a whole nother level. Yeah. This is the first time we've offered something like this that is direct to this generates money versus a principle that prepares you to be a better person so you go create money. This is the first one that says, yeah, use this to go generate.
Yeah. Boy, that's beautiful. That's so well said. So excited by our audience here today. Now I'm ready to take you to the second half. Let's see if we can dive into the second half. We got a few minutes left. So I come back to my book. I do my morning reading. I come back to my book, and I'm saying to myself, I wonder our audience today, what I could draw out of Dave, the guy that has studied the greatest salesman in the world more than anyone on the planet, knows the words, knows the meanings. Of course, Betty wrote the foreword or the prologue, or no, it was the introduction to the Today I Begin a New Life. She's signed copies for you to send out those hardbound, beautiful trilogy sets from Ogg's work. Mm-hmm. And so my second opening, I just want to say that I'm fascinated by authors that ask questions. And I love when an author can ask questions like this. And I wonder if you wouldn't comment on this. I will laugh at the world. When he says, and most of all, I will laugh at myself. For man is most comical when he takes himself too seriously. Never will I fall into this trap of the mind, for though I be nature's greatest miracle, am I still not a mere grain tossed about by the winds of time? First question. Do I truly know whence I came or whither I am bound? Will my concern for this day not seem foolish 10 years hence? Why should I permit the petty happenings of today to disturb me? And he goes on with one final question. What can take place before this sun sets, which will not seem insignificant in the river of centuries?
God. Ogg just introduced us to the 3 levels of mathematics and the habit finder assessment.
Interesting. Tell us more.
When we stay in systemic math, it's dualistic. It's all or nothing, right or wrong, win or lose, life or death. If you live in that space, you could blow up your marriage based on the correct topping for a pizza, pepperoni or sausage.
Wow.
Because a systemic thought does not measure the seriousness of the topic. It's life or death. If we live in that space, the littlest things get blown way out of proportion. It could kill us. You have a client cancel an order, the end of the earth, if you're staying in a systemic world. If you shift to a higher level of math, you're going to look for the good in that. And if you're looking at it from an even higher level of math, intrinsic, you're going to look for the value in the human being. And you'll call. You'll step into their world. You'll find out why. And you'll serve them. You get to find out what's going on instead of beating yourself up and being tortured by a canceled order. Wow, wonder what's happening. Curiosity, right? Intrinsic value of the human being. What could happen that in the river of centuries is going to really matter? Really?
Yeah.
But sometimes we destroy relationships over this because we get angry and we need to be right and we crush another person's self-esteem, and then they get angry and they fire back. We call that arrow, spear, rocket, bomb. Arrow, spear, rocket, bomb. And some people live in arrow, spear, rocket, bomb. Laughter is one of the few things that can take us out of systemic thought. There's no funny bone in a systemic thought. Laughter puts perspective to it. It rises, it makes us rise to a higher level. Just the laughter alone. It's also cathartic. Yes. It cleans out the cortisol that just got released by the sympathetic nervous system. It helps the brain get reactivated because the amygdala has been activated and shut down our prefrontal cortex. Laughter, if we can laugh enough to get our fingertips to tingle, we can speed up the recovery time. Because when we're in that space and we're letting it eat us alive, 10 minutes in that dark dungeon, Dan, will impair a person for 10 hours.
Yeah.
It's like 5 whiskey sours. Go to the bar, you have 5 whiskey sours, you go, be sober. You don't get to make that decision. You got to wait for the alcohol to bleed off your blood system. 2 hours per drink, 10 hours to happen. It's interesting that 10 minutes of a cortisol surge takes 10 hours for it to bleed off as well. It's debilitating. That's why laughter is so critical. And he started this one by saying it that way. If we go right to the very beginning, and he says, I will smile and my digestion will improve. I will chuckle and my burdens will be lightened. I will laugh and my life will be lengthened. For this is one of the greatest secrets of long life. And now it is mine. And if there were a target, getting out of systemic thought a little sooner and staying out of there just a little longer. The research on cortisol and its devastating effects on the human body. Above reproach.
Well, I'm looking at our audience today, the people that are participating live and making comments. These are some of the top networkers in the world. This organization watching today, there's tens of thousands of people that they are in front of, probably weekly and monthly. And I wonder if I could perhaps do something I've never done before. And that is do a second commercial because you brought it up, because it does mean so much. And I will never forget that first faxed version that I got of the assessment. And it was $1,200. I think it was a 90-minute review when you did it in the old days when you'd fax the assessment. And I'm not sure if Amanda has it handy there, but habitfinder.com/act now. You might find that one, Amanda. But I wonder if maybe no one could explain it better than you. If you could find the Habit Finder one, .com/act now, Amanda, you can see, Dave, why would I challenge this group today, these high performance, high octane people, to retake the assessment today? You and I did not discuss this, by the way.
I get the privilege of spending my time with the highest of the high. You know, the CEO of the commodities firm, the top sales reps at the #1 computer company in the world. You know, people that are making $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, $600,000 a month. These are top performers. And the only thing holding them from the next level is a habit of thinking that's sabotaging their life. They can feel it, but they don't know where it is. And the assessment puts a microscope on that. It's not trying to induce a diagnosis. You're a this or you're a that. Well, there are great assessments that can do that. And it's like a disc because you're a high D. And I go, yeah, you're a driver. The question is, what habits of thinking are driving the driver? And are they healthy? Because if they're not, we might want to take a look at those habits of thinking. This is an entirely new science. It's called deductive science. It's totally mathematical. We're not going to ask you any questions. You're going to do some ranking, and it's going to force your subconscious to play its cards. And then we're going to look at it and say, you're not broken. Nobody's broken, but we all have habits of thinking. And the question is, what triggers that? And when it's triggered, what do I do? Oh my goodness, I do that. We can tell you this thought process, your single greatest risk is. How do you know that? Well, because that Aleph index 0 to an Aleph index 1 was ranked this place. I don't say it that way, but it's mathematics. And here's the risk when it goes there. And we've studied those risks now for 20 years so that we can do a pretty darn accurate assessment of what the risk is. Let's get you back in your green hood sooner, get you there staying a little bit longer, but there are going to be moments when you get sidetracked. The assessment will tell you where.
Yeah.
The Habit Finder coaching prepares you to know how to get back into the driver's seat sooner and stay there longer so you're more conscious when that's happening. And I might say one more thing about this is critical. Networkers have 7 thought processes in common 85 to 97% of the time, 7 of them. And the 2 most powerful are either huge gifts are terribly destructive processes, depending on how you're using them. Think about that. Right. It's your gifting and how you choose to use your gifting. Well, if you don't know you have it, or you've never owned it, because it's just how it is. You got the gift to vividly visualize, to get inspired ideas, intuitive impressions, creative solutions, that if you're wired to a functional MRI would ignite your brain in places that are normally dormant in a human being and ignite passion and drive action. And you're using that gift to catastrophize? Wow. You're robbing yourself and everyone else of your gifting. Then we hate our life because it's not happening fast enough. Then we beat ourselves up because we're not there. And then when we get inspired ideas, we talk ourselves out of them. And even leaders can do this. We're finding a lot of leaders right now, Dan, overwhelmed. They fought so hard to get where they are, they're having to fight twice as hard to stay there. How do we get back to the reason why we did it? Get the fun back in the journey. Get rid of a desire for reaching a destination and fall in love with Og, who said, I'll keep my eye on the goal above my head. I'll ignore the obstacle at my feet. That's those unhealthy habits of thinking. For where dry desert ends, green grass grows. And if you're experiencing green grass and you want to grow, you get another desert. Then you get more green grass. Then you get another desert. Then you get green grass. And you fall in love with the journey of growth. You never want it over because the desert's your teacher. Yeah. Wow. If we could get this into the hearts and minds of not only the leadership, but there are people on their team, and they could start living in this kind of a space and loving what they're doing. There's a lot of people here that aren't in networking, but I have to tell you, I love networking. Yeah. It's the coolest thing ever because it'll fillet you wide open. It'll expose every habit of thinking, doesn't create them, it reveals them. And then you have generally a pretty safe place to take it on. What an exciting concept. If, big if, you actually want to become all you're meant to be. Can I quote Og one more time? Please. I'm here for a purpose. Yes. That purpose is grow into a mountain, not to shrink to a grain of sand. Henceforth, I will apply all of my efforts to become the highest mountain of all, and I'll strain my potential till it cries for mercy. Oh, what a great way to live.
So much value, so many great comments. Dave, what? I was afraid to take the assessment. I don't take tests well. I was nervous about that, but I loved what you said, that nobody's broken, because while I was a high achiever, I certainly could have been looked at in high school as somebody that was broken. I mean, school was a hard place for me. Now it's like the school of all of this and all of the scriptures and all the people that I can just pour and pull from each and every day that just fires me up. What is it like for someone to take the assessment in your experience? And what do they look for when that email comes back? And how does that process work for them today?
It depends on how they approach it. If I'm trying to hide something and I don't want people to know, I had the vice president of a medical school take it 6 times one night. I knew the answer to the question before I asked it. Why did you do 6? I was trying to get it right. You don't get this right. It's not an academic experience. It's just a good snapshot to say, you're the green. You see the measurements. There's a green in the middle. That's you. Are you maximizing this gift? If it's over yellow, orange, and red, ooh, this habit of thinking really wants to pull you out of your greenhood. What triggers that? And what happens when you do? Wouldn't you want to know that? If you want to grow, if you want to get to the next level, if you embrace the concept that the obstacle is the way, that what you want is right behind the wall you're crashing into, and I can't wait to figure out how to get to the other side, we'd want to do this. It's called being a sponge. And when I find someone who's, man, just show me, help me, I want to get to the next level, I know I've got a really fun person in me. Then there are those that, no, that's not me. That's not right. Well, no, it's not you. You're the green. This is a habit of thinking. What triggers it? Does it show up? If we can take a look at that, we can fly forward. You've always said it. If you want to be better,
yeah,
I'll let you say it.
Work on you.
Work on you.
Yeah.
Become the very best version of yourself. James Allen said that. Let a man radically alter his thoughts, and it'd be astonished at the rapid transformation it will affect in the material conditions of his life. We want our circumstances to change. We start in here. And the Habit Finder assessment will tell you exactly where to focus. And then we've got coaching that dives right into those pieces to speed that process up as fast as it is humanly possible.
And what I love is not only do you have the coaching, but you have the habit finder, the cracking the social code, so that people can use it in their networking world to make those authentic connections like Og would make, a genuine friendship, a genuine person contributing, serving, and adding value to somebody else's life because you were there and showed up for them. These are beautiful people that are chiming in today. Linda, thank you for that. Just thank you, Linda. In closing, Dave, your company reaches a lot of people all over the world. And I wonder how you want to be remembered, if that's an appropriate question in closing.
That's a great question. I don't have any guru in me, so I'm really not that concerned. When someone sends an email and they talk about how something changed their life or something that's happening in their relationship or something is going on in their business. I got one today. Someone who had a job, a very nice job, and also had a successful business and was trying to go back and forth between the two. And the husband didn't want her to quit because they're kind of get used to both those incomes, And he had a nice income. I won't say professions or anything. But I volunteered her leader to talk to her. Beautiful human being. And we just walked through her Habit Finder assessment, explored what was going on, and felt inspired to say something to her. I found out today that's what did it. To be in a space where you can have an inspired idea and share it, and it actually moves a soul, it was the coolest thing ever. She wants your email address. She's going to see you next week at the event that you're going to be speaking at, but she wants to thank you personally when you said, and she said it, what I'd spoken. That's what I live for.
That's so fun.
I just want to, if I want to be remembered as anything, it'd be like my father.
That's
honest person, results driven, people focused. That'd be a great way to go out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be heavenly.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, I value your friendship. I'm just so honored that you would come on today. It took us months to get you here. I know how busy your schedule is, but I know that the listeners of today, whether they're live with us 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years from now, they pick it up on a podcast replay. Nasman, you've been incredible on your comments today, and all of you really just watching them all. It's just a beautiful period of time for us to be here. And Dave, I know that this is truly a great statement by you that I have no guru in me, and I know Og Mandino had no guru in him. He just had stuff to get out, and it came out in this beautiful format. So for those that have joined us today, thank you so very much. He's Dave Blanchard, the founder and I guess CEO of the Og Mandino Company, the Habit Finder Company with his son, Paul. It's just a remarkable thing that we get to help people just a little bit each and every Wednesday right here. I hope people will pass it on, share it, like the show, comment on the show, review the podcast, and share it with the thousands of people that are in your network. Dave, on behalf of the greatest salesman in the world, I'm Dan McCormick. He's Dave Blanchard from Utah. Have the greatest day of your life, everybody, and bye for now.